Good morning, gentlemen. All right, happy Friday, and welcome to another Blackbird workshop. Um, let's see. I do not have any, I'm kind of pausing there, just double checking here. Um, but no, I don't have any directly emailed in questions for today's workshop here. But I am trying to think if there was something emailed in that was indirectly for that I could discuss in today's workshop. Um, but let's see. Actually, no, that was for Bloodhound, what I'm thinking of. Um, yeah, so I don't have anything to start the workshop off with today, gentlemen. So I will leave it up to you guys to get things started with the first question here. Um, All right, thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. Yeah, good. Um, I gotta say, for the most part, with Zoom has definitely made a lot of good improvements um, over the other software companies. So, as far as being reliable with the audio and video, the only time I think, yeah, really the only time I have an issue is if I have a issue with my microphone or a driver issue that sometimes might pop up just before starting Zoom there. So, all right, let's see what else Charles has here. Yeah, so Charles is bringing up yesterday's discussion with Tyrone, which Tyrone mainly had Blackbird questions during the Bloodhound workshop. So we'll see if Tyrone shows up here. So, um, yeah, but if you want to see, if you want me to go ahead and kind of build out what I was theoretically discussing with Tyrone, just let me know, and I'll go ahead and do that. Um, if you do want to see that, yeah. And again, what I was discussing with Tyrone, I have no way of testing, so it's all theoretical. Um, the signals that Tyrone had built that fires off, multiple signals within less than a second. Yeah, I don't really have any way to recreate that. Um, so, let's see here. So, yeah, yesterday's Bloodhound workshop was really all about um, using the signal blocker um, and the various ways to reset the signal blocker, so that way you can get signals again. Like for example, some people only want to see one signal per day. Um, but that's usually only from my experience in the workshop, that's usually only when you're trading like an opening range type of system, right? Where you just get one setup per day, right? And then the other discussions on the signal blocker was various ways to more of a theoretical discussion on how to reset the signal blocker, when a trend changes. Um, so yeah. And then the second part is, well, what if you want more than one signal? What if you want two signals or three signals? So yeah, so I brought up the signal counter um, so that you could see like the first two signals within a trend run, or the first two signals per day, wherever the case may be, right? Or the first three signals. So yeah, that's basically what yesterday's workshop was all about. And then at the end, yeah, Tyrone had some questions about trying to um, limit the number of entry signals per second. Like, I guess he's got some system that fires off a bunch of signals per second. And, there is no that high level of frequency is difficult to do with NinjaTrader. So NinjaTrader is not designed to be trading at that high frequency. Um, so it can, but also NinjaTrader doesn't have a way to also um, count time accurately. You know, the only way you can your time counting is only as accurate as incoming data. So incoming data is the only way you can get something done. So yeah, so you can't say, wait 2 seconds and then do something because if there's no incoming data, nothing gets done in those next 2 seconds, right? So yeah, but if you're trying to time something during RTH, then it's gonna not gonna be a problem, right? Because there's always incoming data there. So yeah, so what let's see, I'll set up a limit order here, and let's see. Oh, what before we go there, one thing to note, one thing that was important here um, about Tyrone's question is he was having to run his Bloodhound and Blackbird with calculate on price change. There we go. Right. So that's how he was generating signals um, so quickly as a bar was building, and especially with today's, extremely volatile markets, as price bounces up and down, right? Your signal is going to occur and disappear, and then occur again and disappear, all within, split seconds there as price is just bouncing up and down, right? Heck, sometimes these bars close in under less than a second there. Um, yeah. So one of the things I suggested that Tyrone could try and test out, so is to use the oh yeah, so let's see here actually. Um let me switch this, I'll switch this back to a market here. And so to try and, again, the goal here is to try and limit the frequency to less than one entry per, or yeah, less than one um, contract per second there, right? Um, yeah. So there's no way to do it with just one order set, right? Blackbird does not um, modify your entry signals. It's not the job of Blackbird to modify your entry signals, right? You need to get your entry signals correct using Bloodhound or, whatever third party indicator you might be using, right? It's the job of the signal source to get those signals correct, not for Blackbird to fix your signal sources. Um, there. Yeah. So because of that, there is no way to limit how often Blackbird will execute trades. So yeah, although I'll keep in mind that the way Blackbird is built is that Blackbird will only um, manage one trade at a time. So if you get into a trade, and I'll just make something up here. There. All right. So if a signal, right, a signal comes in, bloodhound, indicator, doesn't matter, right? Blackbird executes it. Um, and then another signal comes in, Blackbird ignores those additional signals. It's only going to manage one trade at a time. It's not going to keep scaling in every time a signal comes in, right? And that's the way Blackbird is designed. So that way you don't get yourself into trouble with a margin call, right? Obviously, the last thing you want to happen is your strategy to just fire off, 10 contracts and you get into a margin call. So Blackbird only executes the order sets that are in front of it. And all those order sets, right? All those um, OCO, entries and exits, they all have to flatten out eventually before Blackbird will acknowledge the next entry signal and open up another trade again, right? Um, yeah. So if let's see here. So yeah, getting back to Tyrone's question um, about limiting the number of trades per second, um, my guess is he must have been scalping. Right. The only way you can get um, more trades, multiple trades within less than a second is he must be scalping there. So let's see here. So I'll try and set this up reasonably. Yeah, so maybe he's just going for a two tick scalp there or something like that. There. All right. So I guess, definitely on the NQ and maybe even on the ES, right? If you're scalping a two ticks, the ES definitely moves more than two ticks in like a tenth of a second there. Um, so yeah, so something like that, I guess, yeah, he could be getting executions, multiple executions in less than a second there. So, all right. So now that we kind of got the background of the design understanding of Blackbird, that it's only going to open up one trade at a time. Um, it's not going to keep executing a new entry order every time a signal comes in, right? This order has to close out before Blackbird will acknowledge the next signal. So, um, yeah, um, so my suggestion to Tyrone there, well, hmm, yeah, I'm kind of wondering to myself now if maybe my suggestion was even um, fruitful. Hmm. Hmm. If it was, yeah, if it was a correct or practical answer. Um, hmm. Yeah. Well, I'll just explain what I mentioned to him anyways here. So let me copy A. Oh, here. There we go. So essentially, I have another contract here. And so you can limit how quickly a scale-in contract enters after the main contract, right? The initial contract enters here. So with the place, you can say, all right, wait, wait at least 1 second there. Let's see. Yeah, at least wait 1 second there, right? So the mode here, or the trigger for the interval, is you know uh, after the shortest interval, right? So this trigger becomes true after 1 second. So essentially, you delayed this entry by 1 second there, and then it'll fire off. Yeah. Now, the thing is it will fire off right after 1 second. So if that signal comes in, so that we didn't get into the details with Tyrone because this wasn't, right, it wasn't a Blackbird workshop. But when you're doing, quote, high frequency trading, details are critical. So Tyrone was pretty vague. Details make all the difference here. Um, and so one of those details is, is Tyrone trying to ignore those signals that come in um, within less than 1 second? Because Blackbird does not ignore signals, right? So that right there could have just ended the conversation. Blackbird does not ignore signals. So if you get a signal coming in, right, order set A fires off immediately, and then let's say 100 milliseconds later or 200 milliseconds later, another signal comes in, then well, actually, hold on. We need to also add more to the placement here. So we have a delay, and we're also wanting to count those signals as well. So there we go. So the trade signal trigger there. All right. So this is waiting for a secondary signal, right? It's waiting for the first uh, secondary signal, right? The first signal after the initial signal, right? So the first signal here fires off order set A, and this is the first signal after the first entry, right? First entry. So this will be the second entry, and this is counting next. This is counting the next signal coming in there, and so if our first our first signal comes in, fires off our first entry there, and then 2 milliseconds later another signal comes in, well, this here will acknowledge that next signal, but because we have a timer on here, it's going to wait another 8 milliseconds, or 800 milliseconds, sorry. Yeah, it's going to wait and then submit this. So, so if Tyrone was wanting to ignore that signal that came in, within 200 milliseconds, again, Blackbird doesn't do that. So that would have just kind of ended the conversation right there. Yeah. So with the signal coming in within the next 200 milliseconds, Blackbird would have acknowledged it. So the trade signal trigger said, okay, I got my signal, and now let's wait. All right, let's wait 1 second, and then we'll fire off. So, right. So again, details are extremely critical when you're, discussing things at that speed. So, yeah. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, also we need one more trigger as well. So we also need the order status change. So to truly make this, um, well, no, I take that back. Um, yeah, for Tyrone's situation here, right? We only want B to fire off after A, right? Entry order for A fires off. So we would check to see, yeah, just check to make sure that the entry order was at least placed. You know, obviously it's a market, so it's, you know, we could also, you could go with just checking to see if it was filled, placed or filled, for a market order, right? That's essentially, it's almost essentially one and the same, not technically, but essentially one and the same there. There. Um, let's see here. Yeah, and so now that we have multiple triggers here, I think, yeah, we're not going to get this all simultaneously. Um, yeah, so I think we would set this to in sequence, right? So the first thing uh, that would happen is, right, entry order A is placed, right? And that kind of starts the events sequence there, right? For mark for entry order B. And then the next thing to happen, right, is we want to wait that 1 second, which was the key point there for Tyrone's question. Um, and then wait for that, um, and then check to see if that signal comes in. Yeah. Yeah, actually, you know what? Being in sequence, um, yeah, this actually might nullify the trade signal if it comes in uh, within, under 1 second. So actually, yeah, that actually might work. Yeah, yeah. But, some lengthy testing definitely is needed there. So, all right. So let's see here. Looks like we have some other questions coming in here. Yeah. Okay. So let's see what Melroy has. And okay. All right, you bet there, Charles. Um, let's see. All right, let me just clean up the Q&A window a little bit. All right. So, yeah, let me finish reading the rest of Melroy's comments or questions here to see if they're all tied together. Okay, so yeah, these look like they're all separate questions here. All right, first question. Let's see. Melroy says he's seen Blackbird take a trade at a specific time. Um, yeah, so really the question is, can he set Blackbird up to take a trade at a precise time? Um, Blackbird only takes a trade when a signal comes in. So the answer to your question is yes, but you'll have to figure out how to get Bloodhound or some third-party indicator, a custom indicator, to send a signal at that time, right? Doesn't, um, Blackbird doesn't generate trade signals, right? It indicators generate trade signals. Yeah. So as long as you can get, um, so with Bloodhound, um, you could, with, let's see. Yeah, I think, did I cover that, in the Bloodhound workshop not too long ago? Um, yes, I did. Yeah, I did. I did discuss this in the Bloodhound workshop. I don't think it was last week. I think it was the week before where I showed using, um, and let's pull this up here. Um, let's see. All right. Yeah, let me go to the documentation page here. And if we scroll down to other indicators, we have this time block indicator here. All right. So this indicator, there we go. Let's open that up, right? You can set a specific time there. Um, yeah, you can set a specific time there and just read the output there within Bloodhound, within the threshold solver there. And Bloodhound can generate a signal at a specific time there. Um, right. And then, yeah, and then once Blackbird receives that signal from Bloodhound or maybe some custom indicator, that you might have or make for yourself, either way, then Blackbird executes, trades as soon as it receives that signal there, right there. Um, okay, so that is the first question there. And yeah, so next question is there a way to prevent Blackbird from executing trades if the ATR is greater than 21? Or yeah, if the ATR is at some extreme value? Um, no, again, Blackbird does not manage your signals. It's up to you to get your signals set correctly so that they're not sending signals if the ATR is too large. So again, yeah, Blackbird does not fix your trade signal issue, right? If your Bloodhound or your other, third party indicator, if it's sending off signals that you don't like, you need to fix it at the source. It's not the job of Blackbird to fix your signals. Um, so, yeah. So with that said, quite often there's a workaround. But workarounds, the reason why they're labeled workarounds is because they may not work. Um, you're circumventing, some design. You're trying to get around some design, which means, there's a good chance that you're gonna run into an issue, right? So a workaround here, let me just get rid of that. So a workaround to preventing this entry order, from firing off if your ATR is too large is first thing you will need to, let's see. Oh, you know what? Actually, I might have to take back everything I just said. Um, okay. Actually, yeah, this is such a simple condition that yeah, that Blackbird can actually address that. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So what I'm using here is the indicator value trigger. And so we can check to see indicator value. This trigger essentially works with kind of like oscillators, like the CCI, MACD, stochastics, right? ATR. So you can put in whatever ATR period you want to use. So you can open up the indicator here, right? We can see the ATR is actually in here by default. And so you can just open up the indicator settings here and adjust the ATR period, right? Or maybe you want to make sure that the ADX is above or below some level, right? Something like that, right? So anyways, we'll go with the ATR and plug in, a factor. Nope. Yeah, we want to leave the factors at 1. We're not multiplying the ATR value. And then, so since to take trades, either long or short trades, right, the ATR needs to be less than 21. Yeah, there we have it. So, now, yeah, again, the reason why this is a workaround is Blackbird, the way it is right now, Blackbird will just wait until the ATR is less than 21, and then it'll execute your market order. So this placement just acts as a more of a delay mechanism. It doesn't stop the trade. So it's not nullifying your entry signal, right? So again, that's why it's a workaround. It's not nullifying your entry signal. It's just putting a prerequisite on it. And once that prerequisite becomes true, so eventually, right, your ATR is going to drop below 21. And once that becomes true, then Blackbird will say, okay, my placement requirement has become true. Fire off this entry order, right? So the next step is, well, we have to figure out, a way to cancel this entry order here. And so, we could just do something like, all right, cancel this entry order after 1 bar, something like that. All right. Or, cancel the entry order, after 2 seconds, something like that. Yeah. All right. So again, I want to overemphasize, you're not nullifying the entry signal, right? So the proper way to do it is to fix your Bloodhound entry signal so that it's not generating signals if the ATR is too large, right? That way you don't have to do this workaround. So all this is doing, right, is the placement is delaying the execution, or I'm sorry, delaying the submission of this market entry to your broker. It's delaying it until the ATR goes below 21. But then we do have this cancel, after 2 seconds or after 1 bar, right? Whatever, whichever one you want to use there, right? So there. All right, so that is the second question there. And let me see if there's any follow-ups on this. All right, yeah, so Mallory's saying, um, so the signal for the ATR has to be made from Bloodhound? No. No, I don't know where your signals are coming from. I'm just assuming the signals you made in Bloodhound. Your signals can come from some other custom indicator, right? Blackbird accepts signals from some third-party indicator there. So yeah, you can use any indicator that outputs a signal there. So yeah, I'm just using Bloodhound for a discussion point simply because most people who are using Blackbird are also using Bloodhound to generate their entry signals there. Yeah. So yeah. So if you're using a custom indicator, that you're taking your entry signals from, then you really should be modifying that indicator so that it doesn't generate entry signals if the ATR is greater than 21, right? That's the proper way to do it. So, yeah, there. Um, all right, let's see here. So, all right, so I took care of that follow-up. Let's see, check the others here before I move on to the next question. Um, all right, yeah, so Milroy's asking if he can submit more Bloodhound questions. I will answer Bloodhound questions loose. Um, I'll provide a general answer to Bloodhound questions, but I do not open up Bloodhound in the Blackbird workshop. So I'll kind of point you in the right direction um, during during the Blackbird workshop. I'll point you in the right direction, you know, for Bloodhound questions, but I will not open up Bloodhound and actually, show you how to do stuff. So, yeah. So if you want to see something very specific, um, being built in Bloodhound, then you can email your question into support, and then I'll get your question answered in the next Bloodhound workshop. Or, of course, you can just join me on Thursdays and ask your question then. So, yeah. All right, let's see here. All right, so it looks like we got things addressed at least. Good enough for now for Melroy's ATR question there. Okay. All right, let's see here. Yeah, Roy, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking about. Yeah, something about last time there was a bloodhound, you got something wrong. Um, so um, yeah, I mean, you can always send in questions to our support email if that's what you're asking there. Yeah. Um, yeah. So if you're asking about, sending a firing a question off to our support email about Bloodhound, then yeah, go ahead. Um, or if you're yeah wanting to ask Bloodhound questions in today's workshop, yeah, I already explained that already. So okay, all right, let's see what's up next here. Let's see. All right. So the question is I think the question is that this workaround to cancel the cancel the orders here or cancel trades if the ATR is too large. Sounds like that worked out okay. Um, but there was a delay. Is that delay in seconds? In seconds, very specific. Okay. I think you were just asking about the cancel. Okay, there we go. Um, so the choice is yours. For the cancellation, of this entry order here, because again, let me start from the beginning. When he's when when Blackbird receives a signal, it will wait indefinitely to execute your orders, right? It'll wait there patiently, saying, okay, I'm going to try and place this market order as soon as I can. Bloodhound doesn't know when to give up, right? So if you miss a trade as a human, you're like, I missed a trade. All right. But that's, you're using instincts to say, okay, I missed a trade. Blackbird software doesn't have instincts. So when a signal comes in, Blackbird will try and execute, all your order sets as quickly as possible. All right. So with that, understanding, that Blackbird doesn't have intuition. It doesn't know when to give up on a trade, right? So what we're doing is using the place, right? This place saying, hey, ATR must be less than 21, then Blackbird, you know, will wait indefinitely until that ATR goes below 21. And then Blackbird says, oh, okay, finally, I can now execute or I can now submit this market order to the broker, right? Or to NinjaTrader. So, um, yeah. So, since and what that does is you'll notice here on the info panel will say order pending. Down here, it'll say something like long pending or short pending, right? Whatever the signal direction is, it'll say that it'll let you know that there's a pending order there as Blackbird is waiting for the ATR to go below 21. Okay. So that's why you have to use the cancellation. And that's why this is a workaround because this is not nullifying the entry signal. You're delaying the submission of the market order um, by using this placement. And then delaying the submission means now you have time to go in and cancel that market order. Cancel it. And then once this market entry is canceled, then Blackbird goes into a flat state again, and it'll wait for the next entry signal to come in there. Yeah. So anyways, so to Melroy's point here, right, you can use either just say, cancel, when the bar closes, when the next bar closes, cancel it, or you can do something like, cancel after, whatever, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, something like that. So, okay, I think that's what Melroy's question was about. All right. So Melroy has a question about, yeah, moving a stop loss based on profit in currency. Yeah, profit in currency there. Um, yeah. All right. And all right. So let's delete this. And let's see, what should I use? hmm, yeah, I'll just go with a 2 ATR stop loss just to get things started. And the question is about, yeah, setting up a break even and then moving the stop loss um, after, yeah, certain amounts of currency or certain amount of profit in currency is achieved. Yeah, let's see here. So, all right. So I think actually what Melroy's asking is to um, move the stop loss um, to, yeah, offset that stop loss using a dollar amount versus using a tick amount. So that is not yet built into Bloodhound. Um, so for example, here, let's go to the actions. All right. So in this menu here, this is where you specify where to actually move the stop loss to. And you can see there is no currency option here. There's only ticks, or you can use ATR, right? You can, yeah, the ATR, right, calculates a value in points. So, right, so you can say, so for example, let's, yeah, let me take out that ATR there. Oh, there we go. All right. So if you wanted a 20 tick trailing stop loss, right? You take the last price, and of course, because this is a trailing stop loss, um, Blackbird does know, or the way Blackbird's built is it right. It's not going to move your stop losses backwards. So when you're following the last price, Blackbird internally is tracking like a new higher value, right? So if you're in a long trade, right, Blackbird is monitoring the last price, and if the last price steps higher, right, then it'll move your stop loss higher, minus actually that should be a negative. There we go. right? So it'll take whatever the highest high using the last price, minus 20 ticks there. So, but yeah, as you can see, there is no currency input here. So, um, yeah, at least not yet. So we're still waiting on Jeremy to get to that. So we're not sure when that'll be, but yeah. Now, what you can do, right? So again, you can move your stop losses and profit targets, right, based on ticks or ATRs, right? So when you're setting the new value, setting the new price for that stop loss, all right, it's going to be the offset is going to be ticks or ATRs, not currency. So where you can evaluate currency is in the trigger here. So I'll create a break even here. Yeah, using currency. Oops, wrong one. There we go. And let's see, let me, all right, yeah, so we have a value here of $120. Yep. So, yeah, so once NinjaTrader, um, yeah, so once you can even watch this in the control center. So once NinjaTrader shows a unrealized value of $120, right? That's where this currency value is coming from NinjaTrader, right? So you can just watch that when it reaches $120, then this trigger becomes true. And then once this trigger becomes true, then we move the order not to the last price, but to where is it? There you go, to the entry price there. And set the offset to 0, right? So there we go. So that is an example of using a currency for profit or loss to then trigger moving your stop loss there. Yeah. Oh, also, be mindful that for break evens, that right, a break even only happens once. So we should set the repeat here to no repeating. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that, folks. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Looks like I lost some settings on my phone. I used to have my phone set up automatically to go in silent mode during the workshops. And it's obviously not there with my phone ringing. Um, let's see. All right. So yeah, I think Melroy, that's as far as I can go with that question there. Yeah. Um, well, actually, no, hold on. Yeah, so let's take this one step further. So let's add another trailing roll here. All right. There. All right. So I've set up a couple of oops. Hold on, sorry about that. Um, there we go. Now I got my phone on silent. Sorry about that, guys. Um, all right, so continue on here with Melroy's question. So to show what can be done here, so I'm going to take some of these values here out of his question. So, right, so we have a break even at 120 there. So then if you wanted to move your stop loss again, once 160 in profits reached, and then do something again once 100 or $240 of profits reached there. Um, yeah, so I'll set this up to show how to do that. There. All right, so it's pretty straightforward, right? All the triggers are using the profit or loss trigger here, right? So from all these triggers, we're using the profit or loss there. And of course, we're setting up, whether we're looking for profit or for loss and leaving the units on currency, right? So you could measure your profit or loss in ticks, points, currency, ATRs, and percentage there. Um, right. And so I just put in the dollar amounts there. And then the next decision is um, figuring out, yeah, where exactly you want to move that stop loss. Let's see here. So I don't know. I'll just set something up there. Um, I say, oh, that's the 240 there. All right. And so for the $160 of profit there, I will set that to the entry price plus 10 ticks. So I'm just making this up off the top of my head here. So yeah, because you can't actually put a dollar amount in there. But here's a partial solution there for you, Melroy. So at $120 there, this moves to break even. So it moves your stop loss to break even, right? So you're obviously right. The entry price is break even. So, and then once $160 is achieved, right? So we can see the trigger here is at least 160 in profit. Then I just arbitrarily decided, okay, we'll move that stop loss up 10 ticks, right? So obviously you can adjust this to whatever you want it to be. I just put 10 ticks in there just to show you how to do it there, right? So we're taking the entry price and then adding 10 ticks. So that would be 10 ticks in profit, right? Or locking in 10 ticks of profit. Yeah, another way you could say that is that's break even plus 10, right? And then the next one, so at $240 in profit there, now we're moving that stop loss to break even plus 20 there, all right? And again, these are all just one-time occurrences, right? And so the repeats there are all just set to none. So these aren't um, continuous trailing here, right? These are just one-time events. Essentially, they're they're extensions of a break-even uh, movement there. Yeah. There we go. So that is how far we can go there with your question there, Mulroy. All right, looks like Randy has a question up next. So I don't see any follow-ups on this from Milroy here. So, all right, let me read through Randy's question. All right. So, yeah, Randy has a fairly complex question here. Yeah, let me clear everything out here. All right, so Randy, hmm. So order set A is exiting on the signal bar. So what is your calculate mode here? Um, is this, yeah, is this system using calculate on price change? Yes. Okay. Um, hmm. Hmm. All right. So the prep, yeah, the question here is trying to get order set B, a secondary contract here, to enter after order set A, the first contract, after it gets filled. Um, hmm. So, yeah, one of the finer details here, I'm not exactly sure what this means exactly is, let's see here. You say order set A exits. The exit is filled. All right, so order set A is flat. Um, let's see here. Yeah, so actually, let me back up. So order set B, yeah, is set to enter. Yeah, when order set A goes flat, and so then B is obviously entering the same direction. Yeah, you can't get your order sets to enter in opposite directions. So that's a given. But then here's the part where I'm confused is let's see here. So we're taking order set B, or we're taking order set A, and then we're taking the last price plus ticks. Um, so are you trying to set order set B with a limit order, getting in with a limit order, and you're trying to offset order set B by 5 ticks from the exit of order set A? Um, hmm. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Um, all right. Well, I'm gonna just start building stuff here, and I'm pretty confident I'm not gonna build exactly what you have because, yeah, there's a, a little um, the sequence of events here, yeah, is very very detailed. So, um, yeah, um, okay. All right. Well, first thing, yeah, is since the calculate is on price change, we definitely need to adjust that. All right. And oh, look at that. I'm already on price change. Okay. I didn't even realize that. Um, I wonder on bar close. Yeah, okay. There. All right. So the calculate mode here, let me bring this back up. So the calculate mode is important here because it determines the bar counting here, um, which, yeah, which is a part of Randy's question here, is making sure that order set A closes out um, on the same bar there. And so we are counting bars. So, yeah, so making note of the calculate affects your bar counting there. All right. And all right. I'm probably going to take a slightly different approach here, but I'm going to use a profit target to close out order set A instead of a stop loss there, because your closing of this order is based on the bar closing. Yeah. So instead of using a stop loss, I'm just going to use a profit target instead. Um, all right. So the trigger condition here to make sure that this closes, within the same bar as the same bar that it enters on, make sure it closes on that same bar is, yeah. So Randy, I take it you're using a 1 bar delay here. And then we're going to flatten that position. All right, so we want to flatten on the entry bar there. And before I go, too far, um, man, this 10 range chart is just moving too fast. Let's see here. Actually, maybe just a 20 range, a little slower. No. All right, let's go with the 30 range. Boy, um, there. Um, all right, so we have order set A set up, I'm pretty sure, confidently, um, the same way that you mentioned in the question there. Um, all right, so now on to the actual question, which is getting order set B to enter um, after order set A closes out. Um, hmm. Um, yeah, so Randy, let me circle back around to this last price plus 5 ticks. So you want order set B to be a stop entry? Yeah. So is that technically correct? Last price plus 5 ticks for a long trade. So that would be a stop entry. Hmm. All right. I guess it doesn't matter. Um, yeah, like you mentioned earlier. Yeah, the question is really about just making sure that B fires off no matter what. So, okay. So I'm just going to go with what I'm reading here. So I'm going to use a stop entry. Um, oh, let's see here. Hmm. 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 All right. Yeah. So, side note here, this last price plus 5 ticks. Um, Blackbird, when a trade signal comes in, Blackbird does capture the price at that moment that it receives it, but it doesn't update that captured price. Um, so the point I'm getting at is that this last price plus 5 ticks within your question. So whenever order set A, when it flattens out, Blackbird is not going to take another snapshot of whatever the last price is when A flattens out. Yeah, so if you want B to be offset by 5 ticks from whenever A flattens out, um, yeah, that level of granularity, um, yeah, doesn't exist within Blackbird. Um, yeah, let's see. Yeah, we kind of started that. Let's see here. Yeah, let me dive into the settings here. Yeah. Yeah, we have other order, but we don't have like a we don't have access to the um, closing price uh, or the flattening price for order set A. Hmm. Hmm, yeah. Um, all right. But I'm just gonna put this in there the way the question's written there. Um, let's see here. All right, let's see. Randy's saying maybe open plus X ticks on second bar. Um, yeah. All right. Yep, that works. That'll work. All right. So we're gonna take, yeah, so A is closing out on a bar close, which means the next bar opens. So just remember, guys, there's no difference between a bar closing and the next bar opening. It's actually one event, the same event. A bar opening is what's a bar. In order for a bar to close, actually, NinjaTrader doesn't close bars. NinjaTrader only opens bars. So technically speaking, when the next bar opens, that is the event that closes a bar. All right. Yeah. So order set A, right? It closes or it's flattened out when the bar closes. So that means, right, the next bar opened there. So we do have an open price of the existing bar. And the only reason why we have the opening price, right, of the new bar that just opened is again because of the calculate setting there. All right. So we can take the open, yeah, +5 there. Um, all right, call it good. There. Um, yeah. All right. So now we're finally getting to the key problem here, which is making sure that entry order B fires off after A order set A is closed out. So let's see here. There. All right. Yeah. So I think if we just monitor for, hmm, yeah, I think I just kind of realized what the issue is there, Randy, is I think Blackbird is waiting for the next bar. Yeah, this might be an internal design issue that you're running into. Yeah, because the sequence of events is getting so um what uh so intricate. That yeah, maybe the back end of Blackbird wasn't considered about submitting an order immediately, after another order, because obviously this is not a common way to trade here. But we'll give this a shot anyways and see if this works. Yeah, I think this is all we need to do is just check to see when the profit target is canceled there. Yeah. I'm going to enable the automatic order type just in case, because again, markets are moving so fast that 5 ticks is pretty darn close to the open, especially for the NQ there. So, um, and right. So we'll know if order set B fires off because, we'll have a profit target and a stop loss. Very easy to read on the chart there. So let's see if this all plays out. Let me just double check. Yeah. All right. Fingers crossed. Let's see here. Yeah, let's go. We'll go long. Yeah, I'm not seeing any acknowledgement of B. Um, let's. Yeah, I don't have any cancellation here, so B should still be pending. Hmm. Oh, also another note here. So, as I mentioned earlier, Blackbird isn't grabbing new prices. It's grabbing prices um, when the signal comes in. So this open price isn't going to be is going to be the open price of when A was fired off. So this isn't going to be the new open price. Um, yeah. So that's probably going to be problematic. But anyways, despite that, so I think we actually got two problems going on here, Randy, to be solved. Um, hmm. Well, let me try this again. Oh, yeah, so B is pending. Hmm. And then it's not. All right. Well, there's your problem, Randy. So it's not with anything you did. Yeah, for some reason, um, B is just getting canceled. Yeah, it's getting canceled out of that pending state. Yeah. So this is how it would be done. You can just check so you need at least one exit order to be able to monitor. So either a profit target or a stop loss there. Right. I typically, it's personal preference whether you go with a profit target or stop loss. I go with the profit target because, that's a good problem to have. If your profit target gets hit, before actually what you really want, which is just flatten when the bar closes. Right. So, right, better to have a profit target hit than a stop loss. So, yeah, so that's why I went with the profit target. But either way, you could go with the stop loss and just in the placement, use the order status changed and check to see if when the profit target or the stop loss gets canceled there, right? And of course, you do have to place them far enough out of the way that they'll never get filled because we're looking for it to get canceled there. Yeah. Randy's saying, let's see here. Do not use initial placement and use place. Um, there's no way to cancel out the initial placement. So you have to have something there. Uh, yeah, so we could go with last price, +5. Either way, again, what I'm seeing is that for some reason Blackbird is when Blackbird goes flat temporarily, right? Because A cancels, so technically Blackbird is flat. It should only be flat for a split second, and then B goes in, right? But it seems like that flat state is also, it seems like it's canceling order B, you know. I can't be sure, the only way to know for sure is to, uh, for Jeremy to debug it here, but let's give this another shot. Yeah, so B was just canceled out. So pending. Yeah, so for now, Blackbird's not submitting um, other order sets if it goes into a flat state. Yeah. Hmm. Um, yeah, that sounds all right. So Randy's following up here with the question. So generate a signal on both bars, yeah, and just use order set A. Yeah, that actually sounds like a totally reasonable workaround there. Yeah, solution to this problem. Right. Um, let's see. Yeah, I'm just trying to think this through in my head. Yeah, uh, so yeah, so Randy's solution here is to generate or extend his signal in. So whatever the signal is that executes, right? Whatever the initial entry signal is that executes A in Bloodhound, he could just use a signal extender and extend that forward for one more bar there. So that way A will still close out. Let's go ahead and cancel this. Yeah, so A will still close out once this bar closes here, but then there will be a signal when the next bar opens. Yeah, and that will execute another trade there. Yeah. Yeah, that will work. Oh, yeah. So the point I was getting to is the reason why that works, and the only reason why that would work is because your calculate is set to on price change or on each tick, right? If your calculate is on bar close, that will not work. That won't work because, um, yeah, so if calculate is set to on bar close, that doesn't work um, because getting there, right? Because Blackbird, when the new bar opens, Blackbird is still in a trade. And so when the next bar opens, right, or the signal bar closes, the next bar opens, then Blackbird executes this trading rule here and then flattens it. So technically speaking, Blackbird is still has an open position when the new bar opens. And so therefore it won't acknowledge that entry signal coming in on the second bar because it still has a trade open when that bar opened, and then it flattens it right afterwards. Yeah. So, yeah, yeah. So it's just adding that extra information in there just so people kind of understand some of the nuances, the differences between the different calculate modes. Yeah, NinjaTrader's calculate mode can really sometimes change um, uh, can change um, whether conditions will work out or not. Yeah. So in this case, the calculate on price change will actually work. Um, yeah. So Blackbird will flatten A right as that bar opens, and then on the next tick up and down, right? The bloodhound signal will still be there. Blackbird will see that bloodhound signal there, on the next tick after it flattens A, and then it'll act upon that incoming signal right after A flattens out and put you back in there. But again, um, to follow up, if the calculate is on bar close, then let's say um, A um, A enters here, but then A is flattened on this bar. Um, and since A was flattened on this bar, there was technically a position open for a split second. So then Blackbird would not get into a trade on that bar. It would have to wait until the next bar opens, or it would have to wait until this bar closes, and then Blackbird could open another position there. All right, Randy, if you have any other questions, let me know. But yeah, it seems like yeah, what you were doing is probably was correct. It's just as we discovered there, um, when Blackbird goes flat, and actually, now that I've had kind of time to absorb this, I think we actually do have a work item for that specific situation. Yeah. All right, excellent. So, yeah, Randy says he thinks he has a workaround. Um, yeah, so let me just kind of comment here, yeah, on the solution here for Randy, which is generating, you know, two signals, generating a signal on two separate bars there. Um, yeah, generally speaking, that would be the best solution. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the workshop, uh, Blackbird is not designed to, fix your signals, nor is it des deliberately designed to um, create follow-up orders after some initial order is executed. Um, so yeah, so basically, yeah, um, so trying to get a secondary order set to execute or follow up after after the after a previous order set has flattened out, again, Blackbird was never designed to do that. Um, so it's not surprising that that doesn't work. Um, yeah, Blackbird was, again, originally designed, a signal comes in, Blackbird executes all your order sets and plays them out. Um, as far as, well, I'm trying to think of a good term to use here. Oh, daisy chaining. There we go. So, so if you're trying to daisy chain, order sets, like order set A and then B acts upon A and then C acts upon B, right? Daisy chaining your order sets together. Blackbird was never designed to do that because, that is just not typical, right? With the way um, day traders trade. That's very unusual, rare. Yeah, so Blackbird was not designed to function that way. Yeah. So the better solution is, if you want a follow-up trade on the next bar, then you should have an entry signal on the next bar, to tell Blackbird, okay, go in one more time. Yeah, that's the proper way to do it, is just take your signal and extend it forward onto the next bar. If that's, so if you're trying to daisy chain one order or piggyback one order set off of the previous order set, the better solution is to just use one order set, and extend your signals out. So that falls perfectly in line with how Blackbird was built out. So, yeah. All right. Well, it sounds like we got Randy squared away there. All right. Let's see where we at. Wow. Okay. Man, we're almost 15 minutes away from the 2 hour mark. Boy, time sure did fly for this workshop. Um, well, all right, let me take a look, see who's in the room, and all right, a bunch of usual suspects in the room. Okay, gentlemen. Well, you know the drill. I'm out of questions here, and since we're approaching the 2 hour mark, I guess I will start the timer here, and I'll give everybody at least until the 50-minute mark, um, to get some more questions in. All right. And so if I don't see any more questions by the time we get to the 50-minute mark, then yeah, then I'll close up shop. Uh, yeah, I recognize everybody's name in the room here today for sure. Mm, let's see. All right. So while I'm waiting on some questions here, I did mention this last week, but just in case there, NinjaTrader is pushing out another update. I probably pretty sure that everybody's probably gotten the notice by now. Even it seems like most of my machines get the notification about a week late, a week after NinjaTrader pushes an update out. Yeah, actually, I should be specific there. All right. Yeah. So NinjaTrader 8.1.6 has received another update there to it. And it's just a bunch of fixes. So there you go. We're now on 1.6.3, and it has a couple of fixes there. So I guess for the sake of the order flow, it's worth getting there. Um, if anybody's using the volume profile. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I have a question for you guys. So wondering, NinjaTrader now has a built-in update, right? Start NinjaTrader up. It says, "Hey, there's an update. Would you like to install it?" I'm just wondering, has anybody had success with NinjaTrader updating itself, or do you guys all have to go and download the installer, the old-fashioned way in order to get the update to work? Yeah, I'm just wondering if anybody else is having problems with their built-in updater now, because for me, I have not had a single machine um, install correctly using Ninja's built-in updater. It always fails at the end of the update, and then I just have to go and download it off of their, log in, download it off their website, and then run the installer, yeah, out of my downloads directory. Let's see. Yeah, so Charles says, yeah, he's had a couple of customers who's had issues. Hmm, okay. Oh, yeah. So Melrose asking, can you guys update? Yeah, you can be pretty safe. I mean, when you see minor fixes like this, stuff like that should never break a vendor's indicators. All of this stuff is pretty minor. There's definitely no back end changes. And actually, Um, I haven't seen any, um, I haven't seen anything yet, but the way, I haven't read anything from NinjaTrader, is what I'm trying to say. But the way NinjaTrader has all of these different iterations laid out tells me that they are finally segmenting when they make major changes or any kind of change to the back end, right? So I think as long as you're, I think it's going to be safe to install all the updates for 8.1.6, all the follow-up updates. When they go to 8.1.7, I think that is when you run the risk of a third-party vendor's indicator being broken, right? So, yeah, I think that's what NinjaTrader is trying to, um, uh, what, uh, uh, call out or trying to signify with breaking up, their updates here, in this fashion. So this is a new way of NinjaTrader specifying their updates, right? The old way is they just boom, 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 right? They just laid them all out, and it was kind of a crapshoot if one of these updates was going to break something. So, yeah, it seems like laying them out in this fashion. Yeah, I think they're trying to signify that, hey, we're not going to make any major changes to the back end that might break stuff within this series of updates, you know. Yeah. But in any case, yeah, I do always run the latest version of NinjaTrader here. So I am on 6.3 there. All right. So, mm, let's see. All right. So yeah, that was Melroy's question. Yeah, you're fine to update to the latest. And let's see what else we got here. Right. Rule number one, NinjaTrader, don't take shortcuts. Yep, true. Um, yeah, Doug has to manually download. Well, actually, my question is, I'm wondering, Doug, do you have to manually download? My question is their new auto updater working for you, or is it broken? Yeah, I'm just wondering how many people have this problem. Always make a backup first. Well, Charles, I have never made a backup. Never, ever. Um, and I've never had a problem. So I know some people have had problems, but all of my machines, I've just installed it. Never had a problem if I had to go back. Yeah. So I guess keep my fingers crossed and knock on wood. It's a good thing I got a nice solid wood desk here that I can knock on for good luck. Um, yeah, that's probably a good one. Never install a new initial release. Yeah. At least not on your main trading computer. Yeah. You can install those new initial branches on a backup machine. Yeah, but be wary of installing it on your main trading computer. Yeah, that's probably good advice. So, yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. So when NinjaTrader comes out with 8.1.7, yeah, do a backup. Maybe install it on a backup computer first. Make sure everything's make sure everything's okay. Yeah, before you install it on your actual trading computer. Yeah. I would move rule number three up to rule number one. So, all right. Um, let's see. All right. Doug hasn't tried it yet. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, of course. Yeah, do a NinjaTrader backup. Yep, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Doug's asking, so what happens on the VPS? So VPSs, they're just a computer. So I mean, so NinjaTrader running on a VPS is not going to update itself automatically. So you still have to run through the same process on a VPS. Again, there's nothing magical about a VPS. It's just a computer, that's could be thousands of miles away in another city, and you're just remoting in to that other computer. So as far as the software goes, NinjaTrader and the software goes, you still have to update NinjaTrader the same way you would any other computer. Yeah. So yeah, VPSs don't update themselves automatically. So mm. All right, gentlemen, I think we're just kind of shooting the breeze here, having a laugh at NinjaTrader's expense, unfortunately. So let's see. Yeah. All right. I haven't had any Blackbird questions in at least 15 minutes, so I think we're done for the day. Although let's see what Doug has here. Um, oh, okay. Yeah. So as far as updating shark indicators on the VPS, um, so the um, what um, the licensing agreement that we have with Quant VPS. Um, oh man. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't deal with the VPSs that often. Um, so I could be slightly incorrect when I say this, but yeah, so the Shark Indicator software that runs only on the Quant VPS. So for any other VPS out there, you still do have to go and download the installer here and just install the new Shark, you know, update or install Shark indicators on your VPS, the same way you do any other computer. But as far as the Quant VPS, that we're licensing with, and keep in mind, Quant has a separate product line. So, yeah, let's see here. Let's pull this up here, right? So you can, let's see, where does it say it here? Hmm. Oh, there it is right there at the top. Okay, great. Um, yeah. So if you have your own separate Quant VPS, yeah, you'll have to just download, you know, go and, download the new update, just like any other computer there, right? Um, but if it is the Shark Indicators Quant VPS, then that version, there's a special version on those VPSs that does a self check, kind of like how NinjaTrader is now trying to do a self update. So the Shark Indicators software does the same thing. So the next time, so you do have to shut down NinjaTrader and then fire NinjaTrader back up in order to get that update notice that there is an update, for Shark Indicators. Um, and then I believe it just quietly updates itself in the background. Um, yeah, I'm a little fuzzy on that, exactly how that happens, but I do believe it will update itself quietly in the background. Um, so that would mean that NinjaTrader would essentially kind of act like it's frozen for a little bit. If a third party vendor, software is updating itself in the background of NinjaTrader, then chances are NinjaTrader is going to freeze up for a moment while that's happening, right? You don't want NinjaTrader to keep functioning, while there's some kind of update in the background there. So, and then also, um, at the same time, you cannot um, you cannot replace DLLs while NinjaTrader is actually running. NinjaTrader locks all those DLL files. So that means that you would have to shut down again. Um, so yeah. Um, yeah, if you want more detailed information there, Doug, email Mike or Keith. They have a lot more information on the details of Shark Indicators updating itself automatically there. Yeah, so just email support and yeah, ask Mike or Keith. Um, but essentially, yeah, Jeremy tried to build an auto updating um, uh, version of Shark Indicators for the Quant VPS just to help streamline stuff. And then maybe in the future, we might port that forward to, to the, standard installer there. So we'll see how it goes. You know. Um, all right, let's see here. Let me finish reading up on these comments here. Um, All right, Charles. Ciao. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next time. Let's see. All right, what does Melroy have? Um, yeah, see, Melroy's asking, is there a video that shows how the VPS works? The VPS works like any other VPS. I don't know exactly what that video would show. Because VPSs aren't anything special. It's just a computer you're renting from somebody else, right? Um, so I mean, really, the only thing to know about the VPS is, yeah, right here, essentially, um, what do you get with the VPS, right? So, as an existing customer, you'd want to go with this, right? It's going to be cheaper, uh, cheaper you know, than signing up as a new customer. So, yeah. Um, So, anyways, to answer your question directly, there, Mel Wright, I don't know of any video. That doesn't mean there isn't one. Yeah. So again, I would just email either sales at Shark Indicator or support at Shark Indicator. Yeah, and you can ask if there is some kind of video um, on that VPS. But I would be a little more specific and also ask, exactly what it is you're looking for. Um, yeah, because again, a VPS is just it's just a computer that you rent, in some data warehouse, so they're no different than your home computer, other than you have to remote into a VPS, right? Obviously, you don't have access to the power switch to turn the power off on the VPS, right? So they're always on. Um, yeah. So, all right. Let's see. Let me continue going through the comments or questions. All right. You're welcome, Doug. Have a good weekend. Um, um, yeah, Doug's saying there's an introductory VPS webinar. Um, yeah, I guess there was. Yeah, I wasn't a part. I'm not in the marketing department, so I was not a part of that marketing video. Um, so yeah, there you go, Melroy. Doug is saying that there is an introductory VPS webinar. Um, but again, yeah, that's probably just going to tell you what you get, how the licensing works, and yeah, and yeah, all the products that you get when you license the VPS and stuff like that. So it's really more, I'd say it's more of a video about the pricing and the products that you get um, versus I don't know, some kind of technical explanation. So. All right, so there you go, Melroy. Yeah, email support and um, ask for a link on where that introductory VPS webinar recording might be there. So actually, let's see here. Yeah, let's just do a search for VPS and see what comes up. Oh, all right, there it is. So it comes up first one on the list there. Yeah. Oh, there you go. And that would be a marketing, a sales video there from Quant VPS. Yeah, so that's a marketing one for Quant VPS there. Um, hmm, I'm not sure why this workshop's listed for talking about a VPS, but in any case, anyways, there you go. Top one on the list there. There you go, Melroy. So, yes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this was hosted by Keith. Yeah, that would be correct. So, oh, I see. Yeah. What, uh, a, um, it's probably, so yeah, so Melroy's asking, what does the desktop look like when you log into the VPS? Um, yeah, probably more so. You know, I'm pretty sure Quant VPS gives you like a week or two free trial. So if you want to play around with it, just you can go directly to Quant BPS um, and see if they have a 1 week trial. So that way you can get familiar with the software that they use to log into the VPS and things of that nature. Yeah, so just try and go straight to Quant BPS and see if they have a trial. And that way you can log in and they might have screenshots on their website, as to how their interface looks like. I'm sure they have documentation that, that explains how you log in to the VPS. And right, there should be screenshots there that you can look at in the documentation for logging in. Um, yeah, so I think that'll take care of it for you. Um, I would imagine that this video also um, is all done on the VPS as well. So I do know that the Shark Indicator Quant VPS, we did put a custom wallpaper on that, um, you know, just for marketing, but also it helps support. It helps Mike if you send a screenshot, and it helps Mike differentiate. Is it the Shark Quant VPS or is it just the regular Quant VPS? So, yeah. And let's see. All right, yeah, Doug found the video there. Oh, let's see. Is it? Oh, that is a different video. Okay. Oh, okay. No. Yeah, so the link Doug gave you is the one with Ryan um doing the sales webinar with Quant. So that, let's see, let's go back here. All right. Yeah, so the link you provided is the second video here there, Doug. All right. Mhm. Well, all right. Well, with that, gentlemen, I think we are probably done for the day. Let me just take one last look at the Q&A window and yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, I'll wrap it up here. So with that, have a good weekend, everybody. And as always, remember, if you have a complicated question, a detailed question, to remember you can always email that in with screenshots to kind of help explain exactly what you're trying to do there, right? A picture truly is worth 1,000 words, at least in our industry in trading, right? A screenshot can really help explain a lot about what you're trying to do there. So it's always available to you. And yeah. All right. Well, with that, have a good weekend, guys, and we'll see you next time. All right. Bye-bye.